Afterimage is the third full-length album from Long Island-based heavy rock, sludge rock, stoner metal, however you describe their unique sound, Restless Spirit. And this trio, I guess they formed after the one of the main members in the core duo. Left a hardcore band he was playing with and began working on a sludge metal group, and that evolved over time into this much more serious and refined group, which they basically kicked off in 2019 with their debut. Now, I've written about each of their records to date in terms of connecting with something that is obviously related to kind of like 90s popular metal, like the stuff you'd find on like Roadrunner back at the time in the late 90s, as well as like sludge metal beyond that point, and sludge rock, and heavy rock, and stoner rock. There's a lot going into their sound, and I think that the point is that this is going to sound a little bit like an alternative metal record, but it's also going to sound a lot like a sludge metal record, and it'll also kind of have a stoner doom thing coming in from the other ring, corner of the ring. So there's a lot going on here, but the songs are very direct and tuneful and sung in a very soulful voice. So if you're a fan, we'll cut into a song here. You'll realize that the way I describe it is more complex than the actual result. We know who you are. And speech will take your soul. Trembling in red. So knowing the history of the band is a little bit important here, because this third record is probably closer in style to the first record than the a little bit more out there and experimental and atmospheric side of the second record. Now, I loved their second record. I thought that The Blood of the Old Gods was a great record. It had a nice distance. It felt like a real space. There was plenty of kind of reverb attached to that sound. It was a record that I bought after I reviewed it. It was just a good situation, a unique sound, and they kind of danced around their hooks. They were there. But this record is a direct punch towards the hooks. It is an intentionally connective record that goes straight for the gut in terms of dealing with grief and loss, and kind of going to the dark side in terms of the lyrics, but as a way of working through it and working through difficulty. So you'll understand that better once you read the lyrics and what they're working through. But also the music is just more focused on both vocals as the leading sort of voice, obviously, but the riffs don't necessarily take a back seat so much as everything intensifies up to the front. It is a more intimately and shotgun album, where these 4 to 5 minute songs are no longer diverting themselves into tangents and atmospherics and showmanship. So a lot of this is really just songwriting, and it is more heavy rock songwriting, which they just kind of get to the point quicker, and that means that it both gives you a chance to maybe get overwhelmed by the same types of vocal melodies over and over. There's a little bit of a repetitive affect to some of the singing on this record, but all of it is in sort of a narrative that is continuous and sort of sells itself in that aspect. Otherwise, the actual instrumentals are actually quite varied. The pace is similar on most of them, but they go different places stylistically throughout this album that keep it interesting enough if you enjoy all those three sort of pillars of their sound. So, they don't lean too heavy into the accessible rock side, but it is there. So if that bothers you, maybe that'll bug you. But I think that a lot of these pieces are both infectious and reflective enough to where all of it comes across as thoughtful and accomplished too. I think they've all kind of gotten better at what they do, and especially the vocalist, who carries this album in a pretty confident way, I think. So I also, go and see the band live. I thought that was worth mentioning. They are quite good live, and they were in town recently. So high recommendation for me. I would have given it a higher bump up here, but I thought the production was just a little bit kind of grainy and lacking in terms of the guitar sound. It's both gritty and interesting to start, but then it sort of it took away from some of the rest of the sound on the record, as it kind of hissed a bit in comparison to some of their more recent releases. So, otherwise, yeah, again, a high recommendation for me. Go ahead and check out the record. It comes out tomorrow, and read the review if you'd like maybe some more coherent thoughts on what this record is all about.